Hello Buddy Crow back again, and I just wanted to make a video talking a bit about this game, Mad Max. I bought it on the PS4. Let me just say that I played this a lot. It's actually only the second game that I've gotten a platinum trophy on all PlayStation systems. In fact, the only other game was Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage on the PS3. That's the only other game I got a platinum trophy on. That's how much I played and enjoyed this game right here. Now let me just say that I bought this day one release, and it's very rare that I buy a game day one, especially these days, and I actually took a bit of a risk buying this day one. Now what was happening was that I had pre-ordered this from Best Buy. This is the Steelbook Mad Max Fury Road, because I knew that I was going to definitely get this movie on Blu-ray, and I was kind of interested in seeing what kind of different editions there were and which ones I wanted to get, or at least which one I wanted to get. When I found out Best Buy had the Steelbook version of it, I pre-ordered it from there, especially since it was so cheap. It was like $20, and then I even had gift certificate on top of that. But when I was going in there to pick this up, I was like, oh, you know what? This game is released. Maybe I should pick it up too. And so I picked it up without doing any research on whether or not there was going to be extra downloadable content or anything. And to my surprise, really no. At this point in time, there's been no additional DLC to purchase. There's been extra DLC, but it's all been free, and it's all been, you know, superfluous, if you will. It's all been vehicles you really don't need or anything. So in essence, I was able to get all of the trophies or whatnot without ever going online at all. Alright, so I'm making this video without any sort of script or framework or anything. I'm just going to kind of talk about this game off the top of my head. I was originally going to at least drop an outline, but then I figured, no, you know what, I think I'm just going to talk about this game after I did spend about a month and a half playing it, digging in every nook and cranny, and then on top of that, I dug in and re-edited and organized all the video clips that I did for this game. So I'm just going to go off the top of my head. So the first thing I want to start out with is mentioning that this game is not related to the movie or any Mad Max movies whatsoever. I think that's the assumption a lot of people made about this game, is that it's specifically based off of Mad Max Fury Road. But it's not really. I mean, there are connections to Fury Road, and there's connections to other movies as well. I think the only connection to Fury Road it has to do with it mentioned. I think that one of the characters is related to Immortan Joe, and that's pretty much it. In fact, there's the more you play into the game and dig into the game, the more connections you'll see to other movies. I mean, the Thunderdome makes a cameo, and if that isn't enough to buy the game, I don't know what is.
Two-man header, one man lead, say it!
I'm actually just kidding. The Thunderdome pretty much has a small cameo in the game. It's not like you're going to be fighting in the Thunderdome left and right.
Oh, come on. Can't we just get beyond Thunderdome?
I kind of want to talk about this without doing too many spoilers about the story, because the story really isn't that much of the game. A lot of the game is just going and upgrading your character, upgrading your car in order to continue the story. But I didn't play this game wanting to continue the story. I wanted to play this game going in every nook and cranny of the game, exploring every area, hitting all these scavenging sites, hitting all the camps, and just doing as much as I can before continuing. The way the game is broken out is the game starts, and you basically have your not the magnum opus, but your black on black car, your standard issued stuff, and right off the bat you're attacked. You get your car stolen, you get your clothes stolen. You're pretty much down to square one. You're you get a dog, so that's pretty much it. And then you run into this guy, this hunchback guy. You know what? I don't even know if what was his name? Chumbucket. The guy's name is Chumbucket, but he's like a master mechanic, and he helps you out. You firstly drive around with his buggy, and he helps you build a car from scratch, the Magnum Opus. And the nice thing about this is you can build this car almost any way you want to. But you don't want to always put the best armor and the best wheels on it because that affects the performance. So, alongside with the Magnum Opus, as you get parts for the car, or collect parts and buy parts or whatnot, you can create what's called Archangels. So these Archangels are basically just variations on your Magnum Opus, and some of which are actually necessary to complete parts of the game. And it's pretty, you can just switch those out on the fly and everything. Not only do you have your Archangels, but you can collect other cars in the game. So any car that you see, you can pretty much steal. And if you can drive it back to a stronghold, you get to keep that car. And some of them have special abilities. And, you know, some of them you can use actually in these death races that are available in every area. Whether or not it be just driving and trying to break all the barrels, or just driving to try and survive to get to the end of the race while everybody's trying to attack you. You know, sometimes it can be frustrating, but once you get used to it, it can be a lot of fun. Max himself has some features that are customizable, such as his facial hair, his outfit, or whatnot. But again, you know, for the most part, I always just chose the best outfit with the most armor or whatnot. I happen to like Max with the beard, so as soon as I was able to get the beard, I had the beard on him all the time. But basically, you're down to square one. And actually, there's a little introductory area of the game that kind of, you know, eases you into the game before throwing you out in this big, gigantic map. And basically, you go to one you start out with Jeet's Stronghold, I believe that was the guy's name, Jeet, and he wants you to do this and that and the other thing before he'll help you accomplish your goals. And then, you know, the more you hang around, the more you find areas to scavenge and camps to dismantle, and the camps are pretty much funny. You scout out the camps, you kind of look through binoculars or whatever, and you can identify certain areas you're going to have to tackle. And the goals of a lot of the camps are different, whether or not it's just, you know, eliminating everybody in the camp, or destroying the oil pumps or oil transfer tanks, or there might just be a top dog at the camp that you need to take care of before it can just be yours. And as soon as you take over that camp, people from that stronghold in the area go in there and they help you out. They help you out with the currency. The currency is scrap, by the way, so you'll find scrap all over the place, especially when you get in car battles and you destroy cars. You can pick up scrap from that. I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah. Before I continue, there's like pretty much a couple different game modes. Pretty much if you're like looking around, you're scavenging, you're exploring. When you're in the camps, a lot of times you're looking for pieces of scrap, looking for historical artifacts, which actually lend a lot to the background of the whole Mad Max mythos, which were like photos with little notes written on the back that kind of elaborate a little bit more on what was going on at the time that led to this mass collapse of society. So that in itself is kind of like a real slow burn throughout the whole game. The story pretty much halted for a very long time for me while I was going and scavenging and finding out more things and this and that and the other thing. You kind of just slowly go from one stronghold to the other. There are pretty much 4 different strongholds, and each of them had anywhere between, if I remember correctly, like 4 to 6 sub areas in that in itself, and each sub area has its own balloon site that you could take up and kind of scout the whole area, see what you can see, so you can find things like snipers or whatnot. So there's a whole lot of discovery, you know, exploration and whatnot. And then you've got the one-on-one combat, or one-on-many combat, actually, where Max fights other characters. Now, this kind of lends itself to how the Batman Arkham games have been, except it's a little bit more simplified, which I actually liked. You didn't really have to worry about swirling your cape or anything. But you know, there's a punch and then a counter button, and pretty much a you dodge out of the way for things that you can't really counter. And it takes a little bit, to get used to it at first, but then it becomes really fun, and some of the attacks are just brutal, even more brutal than what I've seen in the Batman games. So, especially since Max will kill people and Batman will not. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, there's the car combat, which, when you're driving around on a map, sometimes just enemy cars just appear out of nowhere. And sometimes you'll find convoys, and you want to take down those convoys because you could get a hood ornament from those, which can boost stats on your car. Or just, make it look the way you want it to make it look. That's what I liked about it. So, there's customization in the game, but it's not really to a really, high degree of customization. Yeah, I don't know. The game was it's just immensely fun for me. And actually, when I beat the game, I noticed I only had like 4 trophies left, so I just went for it. And it took me a couple days to get the last one, but I just had a ball with the game. And I'm almost kind of sad that the whole thing is over, because I really enjoyed this game. Before I end the video, I gotta just talk about a couple of memorable moments that I'll probably never forget. And one of them is just the fact that when you're sniffing out mines, you could take a certain car, but one of the cars allows you to bring the dog with you, and you can sniff out mines, and that's one of the things you need to do to lower the threat area to get completion in every area of the game. But sometimes you get chased down while you're trying out to sniff bombs. And on more than one occasion, I had the the enemies on the other side of the mine that I sniffed out, and I pretty much just waited for them to charge me and run across the mine and blow up. And I thought it cracks me up. It's just hilarious. And there's another part in the game where you have to explore an airport that's been buried underground. And it's just really creeping around that airport, especially even though you're in the safety of your car, so to speak, because it just seems like it's all eerie. People are watching you, and you're just waiting for them to come out and attack you, but it's just not happening. And you can just see people, creeping around the corners and stuff. And you're always just waiting for something to happen. And you're on edge the whole time, and it's just awesome. I really like that, and that happens a lot in the game too, where you're exploring and you just don't know when you're gonna get attacked. So it's a bit suspenseful in some of the game as well. Sometimes you run in knowing you're seeing a whole group of people, but other times you're just like creeping around, just never knowing when you're gonna get attacked.
Why don't they attack?
And also, before I go, I just want to mention that I really didn't think the game was that difficult. I did die on occasions, but I never really thought the game was unfair about it. Like, I got overwhelmed or anything. And that just could be that I was upgrading myself really quickly before proceeding. I was taking care of a very little area of the game before going on to a harder area. But when I died, it was really because of my fault, doing something stupid like walking off a high ledge without even realizing it, or doing something really stupid like causing an explosion but being too close to it. Or even the really stupid things where I thought to myself, I stole an enemy's car, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, disable this bomb by driving this car over it. And here I'm thinking, oh, I'll just drive over it and jump out of the car before it hits the mine, but doing it way too late. Yeah, doing stuff, incredibly stupid stuff like that. In fact, I think my stats, I died less than 15 times in the entire game, just doing stupid stuff like that. So, game wasn't too difficult, but I still really enjoyed it. And I think I've talked as much as I want to talk about this game. It's probably one of my favorite PS4 games at this point. Probably my favorite game I've played this year. I don't know if anything will change that in the last remaining month of the year, but yeah, I have fond memories of this game, and I'll always think back on it very fondly, in fact. Yeah, Mad Max, 2 thumbs up. I'd give it more thumbs up if I had more thumbs, but unfortunately not. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. See you all next time. Bye.